Legacy Bonsai. What makes them so important, and why should we really care? Because I tell you what, my garden is full of Legacy Bonsai, in particular those belonging to the late Tony Higginson of TonysBonsai. 11,500 subs, nearly 2 million views, over 360 videos, and Tony was barely doing videos for a year and a half. In fact, Tony started within a month of myself, Yella, Jason Hanrahan and Adam of Notion Bonsai. There's a reason to remember him, and there's a reason to celebrate all of his wonderful trees. Well, today I'm going to take you through 8 of them and a load of seedlings that I also got from him. So if you were a fan of Tony, or indeed want to know what all the fuss was about and why so many people wanted to watch him so quickly, then join me. Not only are we going to look at some of the trees, but we're also going to work on what I think is probably one of the most difficult of the challenges he left me. God rest your soul, Tony. Let's enjoy the trees. Hi, yeah, it's Xavier and welcome to my bonsai retreat. And you know, today is a special day because we are going to celebrate the bonsai and a little bit of the life of Tony Higginson of TonysBonsai. He made a massive influence to quite a large number of people, and well, I'll tell you what, right now in the comments, put down and you tell me why you think Tony of TonysBonsai made such an impression on you. Right here I've got probably my favourite, and this is his triple trunk Zelkova, which he passed to me because he knew I didn't have a Zelkova, and I had this serious identification issue. There's quite a tongue-in-cheek video all about the importance of Zelkova, but also beside it is the split trunk Hawthorn. Again, we'll see more of this close up in a moment, but you know, my garden is really a testament to some of Tony's trees. In fact, right down here are some of the Scots Pine. I think we might have a couple of black pines, spruce, all were seedlings that he passed on to me, and all, as we'll see, are doing really, really well and will definitely feature in 2026. But I think the first one we're going to look at, and the one that's going to present the biggest challenge and probably create the biggest disparity in views and opinions, as it has in the past, is this very, very unique Scots Pine, which truthfully I've never really known what direction to go to until, that is, Sue gave me a great idea. So let's take this up to the bench and find out exactly what Sue suggested I should do. So here it is, and it's a bit of a brute, let's be honest. It's well, you've seen it before because we've got the scarring that's happened up here because of leaving wire on too long. I really like the rugged look, and lower here we've got the same thing, but it's filling in beautifully, and that's why I say if you get scarring on your Scots pines or your pines generally, like your junipers, if they're healthy and vigorous, that'll fill in very easily, and then the bark will cover that over and it'll look fine. It has got this incredible, massive trunk chop that Tony did, and if we look in close, it is slowly starting to heal over. But the thing that would really make this work is, once I style it, actually to consider putting it into the growing bed and allow stuff to grow really high. And you know what? That could still happen. But to find out if that does happen, well, you'll have to watch the time-lapse update for year 2 of my growing bed experiment. Probably a good reason to hit bell notifications. But yeah, so we've got that, and really I was bereft of ideas. And the last time you saw this, Sue put an idea on and talked about I think it was the Contorta. They're either a lodgepole or a shore pine. I think they're found generally in the northwest coast of the States, in areas that are very nutrient deficient. And if you look, they get some really interesting growth patterns. I think, thanks to Sue's suggestion, what I'm going to do is I'm going to accentuate the movement, bring these back up just a little bit, creating these sort of wiggly sort of effects, bring this a lot straighter and around, and the same with this. So we're going to create a sense of 3 trunks reaching up desperately for some sun. I mean, it's actually really healthy, and if you look, we've got lovely new healthy buds for 2026, which I'm really looking forward to seeing come out. So I'm going to set the branch structure for those. We've also got, well, obviously we've got browning, second, third year needles, and we know that's not a sign of the tree dying, it's just a sign of the tree saying, you've done your job, now please leave. Which is what I try to do to my children, but two of them are still here. It's straightforward. If they come out with the slightest of pressure, then remove them, but don't start trying to pull them off unless you're deliberately trying to denude an area where you can wire. And clearly these things do have sap in them, but shouldn't be too bad, and I don't think I'm going to do much pruning. So let me... I think the one thing we'll probably point out here is where you've got these junctions, I'm going to have to decide, got 1, 2, 3. The chances are I'll take the bigger middle one off, but we'll wait until we've done some wire. But what I do know is wire will go on. I do just want to carefully, one set at a time, grab the base and just remove some of those needles from areas where wire is going to be, which is in these junction spots. You can also have a look and see if we've got any ants sort of collecting colonies of mites or anything. Now, I don't know how well you can see in here on the magnification, but if you're actually looking close, you've got the whiteness there, and that is normally indicative of an aphid infestation. And indeed, if you're looking close between the needles, there are loads of little aphids there. So the other thing I've got to do is get those aphids out and kill them with a good spray. Okay, well, that's all cleaned up, got the needles all off, and now all there is to put the wire on. As I say, this is about Tony's Legacy Bonsai, so I'm going to get the wire on, come back to you and show you exactly what we're going to do with the branches. Thanks. I've managed to put wire roughly around the tree there, and again, what we're looking for branches, I'm going to have to make a decision between 1, 2 and 3. I'm going to stick with this one because if I took this middle one out, then the angle here would be, well, we could play it with wire, but it'd be a great big U in the end. So that's going to stay there, and it's either whether I take that one or indeed that one off. That's why I haven't wired. And then we move and follow it down. We've got a nice one here, then one here, got one here, one here. So we've got the basis of a pattern there. And again, same thing here. If we pull this down, follow this along, we've got a branch here, here, here. So we've got that little radial. So what we want to do is resolve any of the ones where we've actually got stuff like this, where we've got 3 from one point. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to take that one out, but I will hold off till I do the final bending with this stuff. But where I can make a decision is on this lower branch here. We've got a small bud here and then this. And again, we've got 2 here. There's just the single one there, single small one, another one here. So that small one, and then we've gone off. And sometimes the easy way to make that decision is probably I'm going to take that one off. But what I like to do is go back to where I've got my main branches. I'll take this one, I've got that one, then I've got this one. So that tells me the next one to go is going to be that one. And that means we've got that one, so it means we're going to keep this, means we'll keep this one and get rid of that one. Now with the wire on, I've established that probably my best base is here. I really like the thickness of that. We get to see the angle of the cut there, but we don't actually see the ugly wound. And now it's just about establishing whether I want these all to go a lot further upwards. Really, it's just, again, we always bend in the direction of our wire. And, well, as you can imagine, I'm going to continue. I want to bring this one up and around, have a play. You know me in wiring, I do like to concentrate on what I'm doing, because if I'm too busy thinking about you, I'm not thinking about the tree. And more importantly, listening to the sound of some of that bark breaking or pulling away. That's the most important thing. Okay, well, I've had a bit of a flex about with some of these branches, and you know, the first thing I was battling against is I'd already put loads of pretty high strung coils in there, which you really can't get rid of. And I had to go back and have a look at some of those Contortas and how they do. And they really are quite wild, as they've sort of had to struggle the way up to the sky and survive. So seeing these sort of bare branches reaching up, they do exist. So I'm quite happy. I've given myself, I do want to create a little pad here. The main trunk I've brought a little bit more upright and brought this one right over. So this back branch now, which was originally the apex, has gone. So it means I can make some quick decisions now, because in here we've got 1, 2, and this third one. It's become really obvious because it's pointing downwards. So I'm going to remove that one. And I just wanted to bring that down just a little bit, so we can create some sort of, I like the look of these buds potentially. And then we've got something coming down lower, but potentially something out here. Don't know, I'll have a, interesting, not sure. I've got a few buds here, don't need to do anything with those. Same here, 2's there. So really resolving that one. And equally, if we look up here with this one coming down, we've actually got 2 other branches, so we don't want this one. So we'll get rid of that. So we've got that coming up here, and this will be the crown area. Okay, well, this is where we're at. This is where it's staying. And I know, I told you this one will be controversial. It's always difficult when you're going for something that's Contorta or all sorts of affected by nature, because unless you can see it's surrounded by its nature and its environment, it's always hard to say, how did that happen? Well, what I've done is I've spread some pads out here. This is going to continue up, because my only other choice is to either bend it right down, to twist it around, but either way I wanted to have something going upwards. If you look through, we've straightened this up. We've got a potential crown that's going to be developing here. We've got another little sub crown or sub branch layer here, and then we've got this moving downwards. Again, I could see this shortening coming back, but I need to keep a lot of this growth still on there because it is still needing more energy. I still want to develop back budding. Well, I'm going to get the back buddings to let this stuff grow out. And then the back branch, which you can see all the way through there, has just been sort of put out, and again we've got some pads growing through it. You know, overall I think it's got a lot more form than it had before. And shall I let you into a little secret? Don't be surprised if in the end this gets cut right off, this gets cut right back, this gets removed, and the whole tree is actually going to be a literati style based on this particular geometry here, with just these as gins. That's probably, when I'm up here, my long-term goal with this tree, but I am interested to see how this develops and how much back budding we get over the next probably 2 to 3 years. So for now, with Tony's big trunk chop Scots Pine, I'm going to feed it and let it continue to put on more growth. And it goes without saying, I did say they need to have a good spray, because they are absolutely inundated with those aphids. And again, if you see that white sort of, well, that white sort of powder, that white sort of cotton wool look, you know that that is indeed the aphids. And these ones are little grey horrible monsters. Right, well, the next one we'll look at is my favourite without a doubt. It's the triple trunk I always say triple trunk Zelkova, which, as well and truly, it was definitely 3 separate trees that Tony mashed together in a fusion, and I can definitely see down there that they're fusing beautifully. And I already know this has got a really good root mass in it. In fact, if you want to see how good a root mass it is, go back to one of the, I think, year 1 of repotting Tony's bonsai, and you'll see very quickly that it's going to be a beauty. It's just about finding the right pot. And to that end, I want to know now, it may be a bit outlandish, but I am considering potentially putting it in that. Now, if I put that up on almost on a bit of a grassy mound, so it's all grassed up and like the hobbit hole is at the bottom. What do you think? Do you think that could work? Please let me know in the comments, because I could go for a very nice traditional pot on this and it would look exceptional. Just maybe it could look just as interesting like that. Which obviously gives away that in spring 2026 this will finally get put into a bonsai pot. Hey, if you want to see that, then you definitely need to be subscribed and have bell notifications. So good time to make sure you've done that. And if you hadn't hit like, well, come on, a big like for Tony, like for me. In fact, the one thing that Tony always said, and it's why I've got a place in my heart for him, is him and I didn't always quite get on in our techniques, and that's natural with different artists or whatever. But we always had a good discussion. But the one thing he said to me, he says, Zav, will you stop parading how great other people are and start reminding people that you're pretty good too? Because you know what? He said this to me. He says, people will believe what you say. If they say you're no good and you keep breaking things, they'll switch off. Who knew? Anyway, back to this. What are we going to do? Well, look, there's something I'm very aware of, is we get loads and loads of growth through this autumn period. And sometimes there's a temptation. You see the leaves coming off and you think, do you know what? I'll prune it back now. Well, if you're looking closer, there's actually quite a number of green leaves still there. And while there's green leaves on there, they're using their energy and light to put on more roots and more, well, more everything. And in fact, to prove that, let's go and quickly have a look and see just how the stuff that I planted in the beds are getting on. This cherry, as I say, which is part of the nursery bed project, look at it. It is absolutely spiraling out of control. Don't tell me it's the nursery bed police come to have a look. But yeah, this is 7 foot now. And when this one went into the bed, you know, it was only that tall. Well, wow. All very, very green, getting loads and loads of energy, which is in complete opposition to anything we've got in bonsai pots. I think there's a message there, isn't there? So although this one hasn't got that same 7 foot growth, we've still got a few little shoots here that we can definitely cut back to a couple of buds in and get rid of some dead spots, upward stuff. But I'm also very aware that I could actually just be a little bit more patient, wait until all the leaves have dropped, I can see in there, and probably another 3 weeks time, give it a proper prune. So you can do a bit of it, but for me, I'm going to wait 2 or 3 more weeks. But that is looking very good. So please, just let me know whether you think it'll suit going in the hobbit pot. And then here we've got the split trunk Hawthorn that Tony did, following something that Peter Chan had done. And if you look back on his video, again, there's a link to Tony's channel in the description. You'll show that he actually split 4 ways with some branch cutters and literally opened it up. Part of it was to do some bending, but also part of it was just to see how indeed it would heal. And at the time, hands up, I thought it was an absolute terrible idea. But you know, every year I watch this, the bark grows over and it looks more and more unique, but actually mats in really nicely and it's held the bend. Now, originally I was going to have the front somewhere there. I quite like the duck's feet. And as you know, I took all these branches off originally and they've been regrowing. I'm actually thinking the front might be better suited somewhere near there actually, and have this part of the root coming round. I could see that working. And in terms of pruning, well look, what colour are the leaves? They're still green. Green? That means we're going to get more and more good stuff going into this tree. So we'll leave it. And like the Zelkova, we'll wait and see how it looks in about 3 weeks time. And I then will probably prune these right back. So just noticing that I've got this hawthorn going straight through my ear. Shall we have a look at the field maple, which again got a lot of interesting comments from people, because that too is looking pretty good. Yeah, we've got this this lovely field maple, and again, you know, this is just a testament to why it is important to really take stuff back to basics. Because when you look at what this looked like when it originally got in my hands, I absolutely pruned it back very hard, both the top and the roots. And I said to you, it was going to be worth it in the long run. And now, yeah, there's lots of green growth, which again, green. So I'm going to leave it for now. It's it's putting on all the sort of extra growth, extra structure that I'm really going to enjoy developing and turning into a nice bonsai. And again, this was one that Tony himself said, Zav, see that one when we had his final celebration and he sold a load of his trees off and got loads of people around for a barbecue, he literally went, Zav, come here, I think you want to have a look at this. And he showed me this orange bucket, and this one was hiding in the bottom of it, and he says, I tell you what, mate, I think you can make a good tree out of that. Tell you what, he had a good eye, honestly, Tony did, for a bonsai. But yeah, so definitely this has got a long way to go, but the basics are there. And the only thing I have noticed, and it's probably a good thing we did this special, is if we look in there, I wired this branch here upwards, and if I look in now, just starting to bite in. So I think what needs to happen is yours truly might just need to do a little bit of unwinding, which hopefully I'll be able to do, and just take that off. That's the sort of wire, just a little piece in the middle of the this great big tree. Would have missed it, wouldn't have seen it till next year when I probably do the pruning on this. So yeah, in terms of another real incredible legacy tree, this is going to be an absolute beauty. And I'll tell you what we'll do, this one, I'd really like to have a look at the roots of this one, as well as that Hawthorn probably, and the Zelkova. When we get to the late winter, we'll do a late winter Tony special, because we'll pull these ones out, and we'll probably, again, even with this one, make a decision whether or not to put it in a bonsai pot. Definitely want to comb the roots out, certainly with your fast growing maples, whether it be your field maples or indeed your Japanese maples. The more work you do on the roots early on, the easier and better it's going to be when it is actually finally put in a pot. So yeah, wow, what a legacy this one is. Now I've also got these 3 silver birches. There's a couple of others that are hiding away somewhere, can't find them right now. Again, we've got some leaves that are falling off, but overall there's still enough green on there that we need to leave these alone. And just to prove I'm not telling porkies, if you have a look at this one here, this has just been sitting on the ground. It's got a load of roots growth coming in there, and there's so many white tips that this thing right now, all it wants to do is grow and grow and grow. You know, I sometimes think autumn is probably the best time for these trees putting on their real growth and their big spurts. So, you know, can't keep stressing it. Don't prune too early. Wait till those leaves fall off. But, you know, these 3 are looking really, really nice. I'll often say to you that, you know, you might see me working on a tree one year and then you don't see it for a year, sometimes 2 years. And no, it's not because it's died or anything like that. It's because I'll do some hard pruning and then I say to the tree, yep, life's your own for a couple of years. Go on there, put on some girth, put on some health, put on some vigor. Worst thing you could do, and it's probably a big tip I'll say to anyone who's got bonsai, certainly if they're beginners, is no matter how much you want to do work on your trees, once you've done a good bit of work, the best thing you can do, honestly, leave it for a year. So that's why in the end people like themselves end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 700 trees, because we're constantly wanting to find something to do with our bored little fingers, and we know we shouldn't be touching the stuff that we only worked on beginning of the year before. Now, I did mention that I also picked up probably between half a dozen to a dozen 1-year-old seedlings that say Tony had grown from seed. So here's just 3 of them, and yeah, it's an area that I'm still working on and getting better at in terms of development. But, you know, the temptation would be to be working on them and wiring them. But actually, the reality is they're still flexible enough. Tony actually did put wire on a number of these, and I've just realised I left the wire in there. So that's forming nice thick bulges. But, you know, we've got different species. I've got Scots pines, I've got black pine. I'm gathering this is some sort of cedar probably. So I think we're going to see some interesting projects coming up in 2026, 2027. But there is something that Tony did with spruce that I nearly mucked up last year. And unbeknownst to me, last year I decided I was going to get the spruce out of this tin, because for some reason I thought it was a root over rock, and I don't know why, because it's actually basically farming the roots down, and you're trying to grow all the roots downwards, continue to grow downwards, and eventually, imagine you lower this, and you've got this waterfall effect of roots. Well, I didn't do that, and when I pulled this out, I kept going on trying to find the root over rock, and actually I've ended up repotting it there. But do you know what? Aren't these spruces looking healthy? Nice and green. Interestingly enough, looking, this got quite heavily wire scarred, and after a year, just have a look and see what the healing's like. You can see here, it's still a little millimetre or so depth there, but there's sort of filled in a bit. Still a little bit manky, but yeah, it's filling in, which is a good thing to know, because if we have a look at the other one, you'll see that I've done my favourite failing. And I don't know why I keep doing it. Well, I do. I keep forgetting, but if you have a look, this is just so deep in here. So I need to get this wire off. Apart from that, you know, we've got nice healthy growth on this, lots and lots of buds on the ends. And again, it's about putting on vigour, putting on growth. Don't rush things. Yeah, mucked up again with the wire. I need to myself for that. But apart from that, the response now is to keep on letting it grow. And in fact, I'll just show you how much this is putting on in terms of back budding. I mean, this is what you expect to see on a happy, healthy plant. Look at the bud that we've got there. Got one further up here and up here, and they've come from the base of that needle there. That's the future. And while this is healthy and putting on more growth, I'm going to keep getting these buds. There's only one thing I need to remember to do, and really that's just to watch out. You've got at the ends there, you've got 3 buds. Having a look and seeing if you can just reduce one of the buds by just removing it. I just lightly twist and pull it off. So I've only got 2 there. But if you're still looking to grow and thicken the branch, look further back, and in this case you've got 1 to the left and 1 to the right and 1 pointing up. So I get rid of that, and I could actually cut this whole clump off and allow these 2 buds to develop. I've got to make a decision about this one here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 from the same point, and in this instance it's pretty apparent what's going to happen. That one's coming off, and that one's coming off. So we've just got the 2 there, and the aim, of course, is what we don't want is to have all of that unsightly swelling that we associate. And the reality is, I see the future coming not from up here. That's just going to continue to strengthen. But right here, I've got a lovely little bud there and a bud there. So I'll take the one that's on the opposite side off. So although I hate wiring these, I do recognise that, you know, you've got to wire them regularly. Wire off, wire on. And I've started to put some downward movement on these. The front was originally here, but if you just swizzle it that way, and perhaps if you decided to get rid of that one, you come up here, and then if you do that, perhaps something along those lines, I don't know. Probably need to cut that back down to there, because there's some buds down there. We'll reduce that as well. There's also some buds in close. We've got lots of stuff up here. Probably want to keep that going. I want the strength there, so we just need to reduce some of the clutter that's competing. I could actually take that as a future one and end up removing that, to be honest. I think that's the answer, actually. So we'll look at that being the growing one, which means we want to get rid of that one. It's a bit of a slant away, and it's going to be very one-sided. I need to get stuff, probably, everything is on that side. You can see how if you turned it like that, potentially make a raft. Alright, well, bit of a play with that, and I imagine what I'll do now is leave that for 6 months and remember to take the wire off. Now I did actually put wire back on the other one. Do you want to see that? Yeah, I mean this one does less to excite me than the other one does, but again, I've seen how well it backbuds, saw how poor this looked 18 months ago, so I have every reason to believe if I ignore it for quite some time, it will probably put on loads and loads of growth. And certainly when I look down there, and actually you look here, the roots that are coming through the bottom, it's eventually going to do the right thing. Whether I keep this branch, I don't know. Not sure, but we'll have to keep an eye on that, shall we? This last one I'm going to update you on is this Japanese larch, which was actually part of a challenge that Tony put to me, where he sent me 3 very difficult trees, and I sent him this really easy larch to style, and he just whacked some wire around it and hey, put it in this lovely pot. And do you know what? If you get the right material from the right person, you can create things like this. But seriously, this larch, you know, again, it's got lots of yellowing needles, but I know for a fact that right now the larch are putting on loads and loads of root growth and indeed tissue growth. So I will leave this until all those needles drop, and then I may go in there and I'll probably do some bud selection in another 4 weeks time, or indeed potentially late February. So with that all done for now, hopefully you're going to enjoy the continuing journey of Tony's Legacy Bonsai. I encourage you, if you get the opportunity to take on someone else's tree, then one, please make sure you've got the ability, the time and the true desire to do so. Not that you want another bonsai sit in your garden. You really need to work extra hard, because ultimately it's come from someone else, and I think you've got a legacy to try and keep that going. So I'll keep you updated on Tony's trees, and the reason why I'll keep doing them is not, as someone suggested, because it's an easy way to get views. I was a bit disappointed with the person who wrote that, but because I was asked by someone specially, as one of his final wishes, to make sure that I keep spreading on and passing on to you how his trees are doing, regardless of the fact that in the end they've taken on some of my style. So that really just leaves me one more thing. Have I got roots beneath this tin foil on this beech air layer finally? Bearing in mind, if I have got loads of roots, what should I do now? We're getting into October. We've got a week or two of quite warm daytime temperatures. I'm tempted to consider separation, but to find out what exactly I do, then you're going to have to watch a future video. It may well be a time-lapse about the success and fun of air layering beech. Anyway, there's the video that'll talk more about that beech. Apart from that, happy bonsai and God bless. Cheers.